What do you understand by Intertropical Convergence Zone ITCZ? Discuss the annual fluctuations and shifting of ITCZ belt and its significance for India. 150 words approach. Succinctly explain ITCZ. Elaborate on the annual fluctuations and shifting of ITCZ belt. Explain a role of ITCZ in the context of Indian monsoon. Answer. ITCZ refers to the low-pressure region near the equator, from about 5 degrees north and 5 degrees south, where the northeast trade winds and southeast trade winds converge. This is also known as the equatorial convergence zone or a monsoon through. Annual fluctuations and shifting of ITCZ. The location of the ITCZ varies throughout the year. While it remains near the equator, the ITCZ over land varies more in the north or south than the ITCZ over the oceans due to the variation in land temperatures. It can vary as much as 40 degrees to 45 degrees of latitude north or south of the equator based on the pattern of distribution of land and ocean. The position of sun influences the movement of the thermal equator, shifting the belts of planetary lines and pressure systems to the north and to the south annually. Further, the directions of the planetary lines change according to the Coriolis effect imparted by Earth's rotation. Variation in location of the ITCZ affects rainfall in the equatorial regions, as it is the region of low atmosphere pressure pulling the moisture-laden lines and causing them to rise. This results in wet or dry seasons and even droughts, depending on the location of ITCZ. Figure 1, approximate location of the thermal equator in the months of July and January. ITCZ's significance for India. The significance of ITCZ for India is its contribution to the Indian monsoon. In July, when ITCZ is located in the north, it creates a monsoon through. This encourages the development of thermal low over the north and northwest India. Due to this shift of ITCZ, the trade winds of the southern hemisphere cross the equator between 40 and 60 longitudes and start blowing from southwest to northeast due to the Coriolis force. It becomes the southwest monsoon. 7 www.visionis.in. Copyright Vision IACE. Figure 2, location of the ITCZ. Contextualizing monsoonal winds across India in winter. The ITCZ moves southward, and so the reversal of winds, from northeast to south and southwest, takes place, thus leading to the northeast monsoon. The amount and intensity of rainfall follows the movement of the ITCZ, as the regions lying along its location are regions of high rainfall. Therefore, the location and variations in the ITCZ influence the global circulation systems that, in turn, determine the weather patterns and precipitation across regions. 7. What is weathering? Discuss the ecological and economic significance of the process. 150 words approach. Define the process of weathering, mentioning its types briefly. Write about the ecological and economic significance of weathering under separate subheadings. Answer. Weathering refers to the gradual and ongoing process of breaking down of rocks, soil and minerals through their contact with the Earth's atmosphere, biodiversity or waters. It is an in situ phenomenon, resulting from forces of weather such as changes in temperature, frost action, and rain action. It involves various physical, biological, and chemical processes. It is conditioned by many complex geological, climatic, topographic and vegetative factors. Climate in particular has significant impact on the weathering process and depth of weathering mantle. Ecological significance of weathering. Weathering is the initial stage in the formation of soil. It breaks down the initial rock mass into smaller fragments, thus preparing the rock material for the formation of soil. Trees are able to mine essential nutrients such as calcium through their association with symbiotic mycorrhizae through small pores in the mineral soil, which is possible only due to weathering. Erosion, with the aid of weathering, helps in mass wasting and reduction of relief. This leads to modifications in various landforms. Depth of weathering mantles determines the type of forests. These forests then result in various biomes or biodiversity. Economic significance of weathering. It leads to the formation of various natural resources such as clay used in making bricks. Formation of soil gives base to agricultural economy across the world. In India alone, agriculture gives employment to 58% of its population. It weakens the rocks, thus facilitating the mining and quarrying activities. For example, Aluminium is extracted from bauxite or which is produced by weathering of related minerals. Weathering of rocks and deposits helps in the augmentation and concentrations of some valuable ores of manganese, aluminium, iron, and copper, etc. that hold significant commercial value. Thus, though weathering is a disintegrating process, yet it plays an integral role in sustaining life on Earth. 8 www.visionis.inc Copyright Vision IACE. 8. Explain the concept of sunspot cycle. In view of the approaching solar minimum, highlight the changes that it brings on Sun's surface and the effects that it has on Earth. 150 words approach. Explain the concept of sunspot cycle with special reference to solar minimum. Explain the changes that it brings on Sun's surface during solar minimum. Discuss the effects of solar minimum on Earth. Answer. Sunspot cycle is the solar magnetic activity cycle with the average time period of 11 years. It refers to changes in the Sun's activity, including changes in the levels of solar radiation and ejection of solar material and appearance changes in the number and size of sunspots, flares, and other manifestations. Sunspots are regions where the solar magnetic field is very strong. The number of sunspots observed on the surface of the Sun varies from year to year. This rise and fall in sunspot counts varies in a cyclical way is called the sunspot cycle. Solar minimum is the period of least solar activity in the 11-year solar cycle. During this time, sunspot and solar flare activity diminishes. According to NASA and other agencies, a solar minimum is about to occur in 2019 to 20. Changes on Sun's surface due to solar minimum, intense activities such as sunspots and solar flares subside during the solar minimum. The Sun does not become dull, rather the solar activity simply changes form. During the solar minimum, coronal holes can last for longer time. Coronal holes are vast regions in the Sun's atmosphere where the Sun's magnetic field opens up and allows streams of solar particles to escape the Sun as the fast solar wind. Effects of solar minimum on Earth. It could enhance the effects of space weather events including geomagnetic storms, auroras, potentially disrupting communications and navigation systems. During the solar minimum, upper atmosphere cools down, which reduces the frictional drag in the low Earth orbit. Without the normal drag, the space debris has the tendency to hang around longer or to fall back to Earth. It could enhance the effect of space weather events including geomagnetic storms, auroras, and potentially disturbing power supply, satellites, communications and navigation systems. The Sun's magnetic field weakens and provides less shielding from the cosmic rays. This can pose an increased threat to astronauts traveling through space. 9. What is Pacific Ocean garbage patch? Provide an account for the factors responsible for its development and location. Also, discuss its impacts and suggest measures for mitigation. 150 words approach. Start with defining Pacific Ocean garbage patch and explain the factors responsible for their development and location. Discuss their impacts. Suggest measures for their mitigation. Answer. The Pacific Ocean garbage patch is an enormous collection of marine debris that is collected and deposited by ocean currents in the middle of the North Pacific Ocean. The trash mainly comprises of plastic debris and is both huge and widely scattered. Factors responsible for its formation. Circulating ocean currents in the North Pacific waters called subtropical gyre continuously move in a clockwise direction carrying the trash and the waste along in their path from the land to the middle of the North Pacific Ocean. 9 www.visionis.inc Copyright Vision IACE. The circular motion of the gyre draws debris into the center which is calm and stable, where it becomes trapped. Almost 80% of the debris in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch comes from land-based activities in North America and Asia, and the remaining 20% from boaters, offshore oil rigs, and large cargo ships. The amount of debris in the patch accumulates since most of it is non-biodegradable, mainly microplastics. Effects of garbage patch. Destruction of marine life due to ingestion of toxic and harmful substances, both absorbed and leached out by plastics, thereby disturbing the marine food web. Marine mammals get entangled in the debris and get physically injured. Presence of the garbage blocks the sunlight from reaching the planktons and algae, thereby reducing productivity of marine ecosystem. It affects the free flow of traffic through oceans. All the above adversely affects the economic life, reduced fishing and hindrance to commerce. Mitigation measures restrictions on the use of toxic and non-biodegradable plastic waste. Launch a cleanup drive on the lines of climate change mitigation by some multilateral organization. Use surface currents to let debris drift to specially designed arms and collection platforms. This is a cost-effective method of ocean cleanup. 10. Explain the formation of mid-oceanic ridges in different oceanic basins of the world. 150 words approach. Start with a very brief definition of mid-oceanic ridges. Explain how they are formed and their significance. Answer. Mid-oceanic ridges form an interconnected chain of mountain systems within the ocean. These are characterized by a central rift system at the crest, a fractionated plateau and flanked zone all along its length. They occupy around 33% of the total seafloor area and occur in all the major ocean basins. The system of ridges is essentially an oceanic phenomenon, but in places it passes laterally into continental rift zones. Formation of ridges. 10 www.visionis.in Copyright Vision Itcz. Mid-oceanic ridges are formed by plate tectonics. They are the best example of divergent plate boundaries. This uplifting of the ocean floor occurs when convection currents rise in the mantle beneath the oceanic crust and pour out basaltic magma, also known as mid-oceanic ridge basalt, at the divergent boundary of oceanic plates. There are two processes, ridge push and slab pull, thought to be responsible for the spreading seen at mid-ocean ridges. Ridge push occurs when the weight of the ridge pushes the rest of the tectonic plate away from the ridge, often towards a subduction zone. At the subduction zone, slab pull comes into effect. This is simply the weight of the tectonic plate being subducted pulled below the overlying plate, dragging the rest of the plate along behind it. Topographically, the mid-oceanic ridges are very variable and are correlated with spreading rates, with fast-spreading ridges like the Mid-Atlantic Ridge having smoother profiles, while slow-spreading ridges like the East Pacific Rise and the Galapagos Rift having jagged profiles and an axial rift valley. Significance. Paleoclimatic study. They serve as a record of changing Earth's magnetic field with time. Reserves of mineral resources. These regions are often associated with massive deposits of sulfides and thereby could be potential mining targets. Thermal source heat flow from mid-oceanic ridges is many times more than that propagated through ocean floor. 11. Discuss the spatial and temporal variation of rainfall in India. Has this pattern been changing in recent years? Examine. 250 words approach. In the first part of the answer, discuss the distribution of rainfall over a year across major regions in India and the reasons behind this variation. In the second part, discuss the recent changes in rainfall pattern and reasons behind it. 11 www.visionis.in Copyright Vision Itcz. Answer. The average annual rainfall is about 125 centimeters, but it has great spatial and temporal variations. Temporal variation, the distribution of rainfall varies temporally as per an annual cycle of seasons. The meteorologists recognize 4 seasons. The rainfall in these seasons varies in the following manner. 1. Cold weather season, little rainfall in some parts of India. Some weak temperate cyclones from the Mediterranean Sea cause rainfall in northwestern India, which are called western disturbances. 2. Hot weather season, the sudden contact between dry and moist air masses gives rise to local storms which are associated with torrential rains. 3. Southwest monsoon season, over 80% of the annual rainfall is received in the 4 rainy months of June to September. A monsoon may burst in the first week of June in the coastal areas of Kerala, Karnataka, Goa and Maharashtra, while in the interior parts of the country, it may be delayed to the first week of July. Monsoonal rainfall is largely governed by relief or topography, and rainfall has a declining trend with increasing distance from the sea. 4. Retreating monsoon. By the end of September, a monsoon becomes weak in response to the southward march of the sun. The weather is dry in North India, but is associated with rain in the eastern part of the peninsula. Spatial distribution areas with high rainfall, over 200 centimeters. Highest rainfall occurs along the mountain ranges obstructing the approaching moist winds, like the west coast, as well as in the sub-Himalayan areas in the northeast. 12 www.visionis.in Copyright Vision Itcz. Areas of medium rainfall, 100 to 200 centimeters in the southern parts of Gujarat, East Tamil Nadu, North, Eastern Peninsula covering Orissa, Jharkhand, Bihar, Eastern Madhya Pradesh, Northern Bengal Plain along the Sub-Himalayas and the Kashgar Valley. Areas of low rainfall 50 to 100 centimeters, most of the regions having the effect of continentality like Western Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, Eastern Rajasthan, Gujarat and Deccan Plateau. Areas of inadequate rainfall less than 50 centimeters. These are arid regions lying in the interior parts of the peninsula, especially in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Maharashtra, Ladakh and most of western Rajasthan. In the North India, rainfall decreases westwards, and in peninsular India, except Tamil Nadu, it decreases eastward. Changing pattern of rainfall in India. There is a general consensus that monsoon pattern in India is changing in terms of intensity, duration, frequency, and spatial distribution. Rainfall extremes have increased threefold over the last few years. The frequency of floods in northwest and the northeast, while rainfall deficit in south has increased. The onset of a monsoon has been delayed due to a regime shift in climate, i.e. from a weak to a strong El Niño period. Monsoons have also been ending sooner, thereby reducing the length of the rainy season. Monsoon seasons are witnessing random break periods when there is little to no rainfall. Though it's difficult to attribute exact reasons for changing pattern, the following factors have affected a monsoon pattern: the ripple effects of global warming and climate change. Frequent El Niño and La Niña. The Indian Ocean dipole and the Atlantic Niño break periods are associated with rainfall systems moving northwards from the equatorial region. The high rate of deforestation. Thus it becomes imperative for India to work towards restoring the balance of nature in collaboration with other countries, so that monsoon pattern doesn't change permanently. 12. Technology has provided important tools for making disaster management more effective. Elaborate with special focus on the role of technology in reducing disaster risk. Also highlight the challenges in application of technological solutions in disaster-affected areas. 250 words approach. Begin your answer with the importance of technology during disasters, especially in disaster risk reduction. Write down the persisting challenges which have proved to be major roadblocks in application of technological solutions. Conclude your answer with way forward. Answer: the use of technology has proved to be very useful in disaster risk management, with appropriate communication, maps, data analysis, etc. becoming an essential requirement for informed decision-making. The same has been acknowledged in YOGO framework guidelines. Contribution of technology in reducing disaster risk. Satellites and remote sensing helps in addressing the information needs covering all the phases of disaster management, such as preparedness, early warning, response, relief, rehabilitation, recovery and mitigation. It is useful in integrating natural hazard assessments into development planning studies. 13. www.visionis.in. Copyright Vision Itcz. Geographical Information System. It is effective and efficient storage and manipulation of remotely sensed data and other spatial and non-spatial data types for both scientific management and policy-oriented information. Wireless communication. It has helped in faster transfer of information in real time. Early warning systems for hurricanes, tornadoes, thunderstorms, heavy rainfall, flooding, drought, snowfall, high winds and other extreme weather hazards. These have helped in notifying guidelines, providing services and evacuating the places at the right time, preventing loss of lives and property. Challenges in application of technological solutions in disaster-affected areas. Cross-sectoral integration of application of communication technologies that can link disaster risk reduction, climate change responses and sustainable development. Lack of promotion for understanding the basic principles of effective early warning systems. Limitations in exploiting local innovation. Overcoming the language barrier for efficient communication. Limited resources for funding research and science and technology by all institutions and at all levels. The high cost of some science and technology systems, which inhibits accessibility and effective application. The limited capacity of vulnerable communities and countries to use available science and technology products owing to lack of education, illiteracy. The limitations of technology in predicting disasters, as not all kinds of disasters can be predicted. For example, earthquake is a sudden release of energy which can be detected only a few seconds before it wreaks havoc. There should be relevant policies and institutional frameworks for further fine-tuning of science and technology in disaster management. Beginning has been made with the newly launched National Disaster Management Plan, which gives specific attention to the use of technology in disaster reduction and management. Promoting public education and awareness about the potential and practice of science and technology will over time encourage all parts of society to access and apply available scientific knowledge and technique to disaster management. 13. While overcrowding in public places cannot be wished away in India, what we need are better infrastructure and more effective crowd control measures. Comment. Also, briefly enumerate NDMA guidelines for crowd management. 250 words approach. Highlight